I'm Shravanti. I'm a Hadoop consultant. I'm having 8+ years of IT experience. I work with top MNCs. Right. My primary expertise are the Hadoop development as well as the administration, guys. I'm a Hadoop architect, so I plan for the clusters, I set up the clusters, and also I do the development side as well, like HDFS, MapReduce, Hive, Peak, Scoop, Flume, and Spark. These are my expertise in the Hadoop, and I based out of Chicago, Central Time Zone, guys. All right. So this is my profile. You can even find me in the LinkedIn, right? And can you introduce about yourself one by one, like what exactly you're currently working on and your experience in which technology you're having the expertise in, right? And yes, Praveen, you can go by one, guys. Just your name and your areas of expertise. Praveen, are you there? Okay.
Hi,
Hey Jay, hi. You can introduce about yourself.
I'm Giant and right now I'm just studying right now. No, nothing. No job anywhere.
You're a med student, is it?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah.
yeah.
And what about others? Jeevan?
Hey, this is Jeevan. I'm working as a ETL developer for 5 years with IT Key Source. Right now I'm in Peoria, Illinois.
Oh, okay, that's good. It's very near to me. Hmm.
Yeah.
And Chandrakant?
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Chandrakant, I can hear you.
So right now I completed my, Hadoop training, but I started my marketing in Hadoop.
Oh, okay. That's cool. You're also a MS
Yeah,
student, right?
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm also an MS student.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Mahesh?
As I'm data warehouse architect, I have 13 years of experience in IT.
Okay, so are you a administrator?
I'm colleague of Sham, so yeah, I'm from IT Key Source.
Oh, okay.
So Mahesh is my colleague. So
Oh, okay. Okay, Sean. That's cool. And Praveen? Praveen, you muted from your side. Probably you can unmute and talk. You can just quickly introduce about yourself. And I can, Ajay? What about you, Ajay?
Hi Shravanti, I'm Ajay and I have almost like 7 years of experience working as IBM InfoSphere administrator.
Mm-hmm.
I get some IBM InfoSphere ETL tool. So almost like 7 years of experience administrating that.
Okay, that's cool.
Thanks.
And I can't see some other's name. It's just showing you as a waiting for name. I don't know who is that. You can quickly introduce about yourself, your name.
Hi Shravanti, this is Sunil Konredi. I'm working as a data stage developer from the past 5 years. Currently I'm working at Citizens Bank, Rhode Island.
Okay, that's cool. Any other left? I hope everybody is introduced about yourself, right? In case if I miss anybody, then you can just quickly, go ahead and introduce about yourself. Yeah. So guys, today as part of the demo session, what I'll be going to talk about is what exactly we are going to discuss as part of our Hadoop developer training and also the Hadoop administration training. Because I can see that the couple of people are from the administration background too, right? So I'll be taking through the course content of the Hadoop development as well as the Hadoop administration so that you will be getting a clear idea on that. And once we go through that, probably I'll take you to the introduction to the big data and Hadoop as well, right? I might take 1 hour to 1.5 hours, guys. It depends like what the pace we are having and we are going and how many questions we are discussing. But probably in 1.5 hours, I might be closing the call. All right. So here, whenever you are having any questions, stop me immediately and you can quickly ping me in the chat window, right? Because I unmuted everybody. So if you want to talk
Hi, Shravanti. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. See here guys, this is the course content. Here what we are going to talk about is the one by one of the module. I'll talk about what exactly the Hadoop is and what exactly we are going to talk about as part of our training. Right? So as part of the first module guys, we are in detail discussing about what is Hadoop. Right? What is Hadoop? And before going to talk about the Hadoop, you must need to know what exactly the meaning of the big data, because everybody is using the Hadoop and the big data as a vice versa. But you should understand very clearly that what is big data and what is Hadoop, right? So as part of the first module, we will be talking about the big data use cases and the big data characteristics, right? And also which are the companies are using your big data. All these things which we are going to talk about in the module 1, right? And also we are going to talk about what is Hadoop. Then what is a, my voice is breaking. Give me a minute guys. Sham is mentioning that my voice is breaking. Let me just close the unneeded ones. Is my voice clear now? Can you quickly ping me in the chat window guys? Is my voice clear now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
better now.
Yeah, thanks for confirming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here as part of the first module, we are going to talk about the introduction to the big data, wherein we will be seeing about what exactly the real-time use cases of the big data and which companies are using the big data. And if you compare with the earlier years, we do not see any of the big data in past 5 years. But right now, everybody started using the big data. Everybody started implementing the same, right? So here we are understanding the reasons why it is so popular. And whenever we are talking about the big data, there are a lot of other frameworks are also available, not only the Hadoop. There is a SAP HANA is there, but when you have the lot of frameworks, why your Hadoop is so popular to solve your big data challenges, right? So we will be talking about the Hadoop in details about the Hadoop as well, right? And also the evolution of the Hadoop. And this is like a, and this first two modules are same for the Hadoop development as well as the Hadoop administration, guys, because though you are an admin and the developer, you must need to understand the in-depth details about your big data and Hadoop, right? So we will be discussing all these things over here in the first module. So here guys, when I'm talking about the Hadoop, here we are having two important modules. One is the Hadoop distributed file system. Hadoop distributed file system is nothing but whatever the files you are having, or else let's assume that whatever the tweets you have done in your Twitter, or else you posted something in your Facebook, you uploaded some video in the YouTube. Each and everything has to be stored somewhere, right? So where exactly it is going to be stored is, this is the place. Hadoop distributed file system is the place. This is mainly for the storage purpose. All your big data files are going to be stored over here, right? And on top of this, you are also having another module which we will be calling it as a map reduce. And also in the latest versions of the Hadoop, we also call it as a yarn. So what exactly this map reduce and the yarn are nothing but, here especially the developers will be writing the program. You can even write it in the Java, you can even write it in the Python, right? Even you can write it in the C++, Ruby on Rails, any of the programming languages, you can use it to write your MapReduce program, right? So whatever the MapReduce program you're writing over here, you're processing with the help of this particular code, you're processing your data underlying under your HDFS. So here guys, whatever the Hadoop, whenever you're talking about the Hadoop, we will be talking about first part is the storage part and the next one is the processing, right? So here most of the companies, your 80% of the projects, people implements the Java, because even our Hadoop is also implemented in the Java internally, this particular framework. So you can see the lot of performance benefit when you implement it directly with the Java. Even you, if you are comfortable in the Python or C++, even you can do that with the help of, we are having something called a Hadoop streaming. With the help of the Hadoop streaming utilities, even you can write the program in the Python. If you're good at C++, even you can write your programs in the Hadoop pipes, right? But most of the organizations use the Java, as your framework itself is written in the Java, so you can see the lot of good performance improvements over here. I mean, lot of, even you can do the optimizations also when you have written your programming in the Java, right? So guys, as part of the next module, what we will be talking about is all in-depth knowledge about the HDFS. If you see our second module, see this Hadoop distributed file system. As part of this, we will be talking about what exactly your Hadoop distributed file system, what it does, and what is the architecture. Though you are an administrator or a developer, you must need to be aware of the architecture very well. Because if you are an admin, if you wanted to troubleshoot any of the, if you wanted to troubleshoot any of the issues, what you can do, if you know the architecture well, you will be understanding where exactly the problem exists, right? And if you are a developer, then if you know the architecture well, then you will be writing your program. I mean, you will be understanding how the flow is and all these things, which will help you in writing your code also. All right. So for both of you guys, Hadoop administrators and the developers, you must need to understand the HDFS part very well. And also guys, here, as part of this, what we'll be talking about is we will be doing the installations also, because here in the real-time industry, all your Hadoop installables, all your Hadoop setups are in the Linux operating system. All the productions, 99% of the productions are in the Linux operating system. Though you can do the installations in the Windows, but nobody prefers to do the Hadoop installations in the Windows, right? So guys, what you will be having is, but right now here, as part of your laptop, you will be having either Windows or else Mac operating system. Most of us are having the Windows or Mac operating system inside your laptops. So, but how exactly you require your Linux operating system? Because how exactly you will be installing the Linux operating system is nothing but what you will be doing is you will be doing a virtualization. You will be using your virtualization software. With the help of this, either you can install the VMware or else you can install the VirtualBox. Any of the things you can install, right? By help of these things, what you can do is you can install your Linux operating system, right? So once your Linux operating system is ready, what you are going to do is, here you will be doing your Hadoop installations. For this also you have some of the prerequisites. So when it comes to the prerequisite, as we mentioned that the Hadoop is already written in the Java, so you must need to install the Java as part of the prerequisite inside your Linux machine. And there is something called OpenSSH. OpenSSH is nothing but when you are having a multiple machine, if each machine wants to communicate with each other, with the help of the OpenSSH, they can communicate with each other, right? And then you will be downloading the Hadoop over here, and then you will be actually installing your Hadoop and finally configuring the Hadoop. So these are all the steps which we will be discussing, and also which you will be setting up in your laptop. Because after the course also, if you want to practice anything, you must need to have your Hadoop inside your laptops, right? So this is the reason why we are setting it up, all these things, by taking a virtualization software, by creating a Linux operating system, installing all of these things inside your machines. This is how your Hadoop environment is ready. We'll be discussing this environment setups, everything is in as part of this second module itself, guys. And also, when you're dealing with the storage stuff, there are something called HDFS commands. It looks similar to your Linux command, guys. With the help of these HDFS commands, whatever the big data files you are having it, you will be placing your big data files inside your Hadoop distributed file system. So as part of the second module, we will be also in detail discussing about our HDFS commands, right? And if you see the next module, guys, it is a map reduce. So if you see this diagram, you can see the processing is a map reduce. So as part of this map reduce, we will be clearly talking about the map reduce architecture and also the map reduce flow, and then comes to your programs. Here as part of our course, we will be writing our map reduce programs in the Java. Right? You need not be an expert in the Java. You need not know any of these, what we call it as a Spring, Hibernate, Struts, and all these frameworks. Right? Just the core Java is enough. At least you just need to know what is this public static void main and this small simple things you require to know. Still, whoever comes to my sessions and I explain the each and everything from the base, so you do not even feel uncomfortable when you are writing the MapReduce, right? And also guys, when it comes to the, we are also having something called advanced MapReduce. What exactly MapReduce and advanced MapReduce is nothing but, where in case of the MapReduce, we will be talking about which kind of file you will be having, a text files, you will be having a CSV files, right? This kind of files which we will be discussing with. All right. So here Sham is asking, do you cover the Java as well? No, here I'm not. I will not be covering the Java. I'll be sharing you a sample core Java link wherein you can go through that link. All right. So yeah. So here guys, as part of the MapReduce, here you will be having your text files, CSV files, right? And also you will be having something called XML files. Even you can have your image files and all these things. As part of the advanced MapReduce guys, not only your text files and all these files, we will be also processing your images. We will be giving it as 100 input files, as 100 images, and there we wanted to find out, you know, which one are the duplicate images. And so it is nothing but, it's not only these files, we will also be talking about your unstructured data and how about, you know, processing your image files and everything. And whenever we are talking about the MapReduce and the advanced MapReduce, we will be discussing about you know, all the real-time example. All the real-time examples are nothing but, here if you talk about some of them, there is a movie lens dataset. The movie lens dataset is nothing but, once you saw a movie where you can go ahead and submit your review, there is something called a IMDb URL. So whatever the movie we watch, we can even go there and we can submit that particular rating for the specific movie. So whatever all the ratings you got, each and every data you can get it into the grouplens.org. Even if you wanted to process your 100K dataset guys, that is also available. And also you have the 1 million dataset also, 10 million dataset is also available. Right, so we will be processing all the real-time data sets. It may be a movie lens, it may be a weather data set, right? And also it can be a, what we call it as, it can be any of these consumer complaints data set. These are all the real-time data set. And also we will be talking about Aditya Birla's what we call it as the stock information, like from earlier, from the startup onwards, what is the stock value right now and what is the yesterday's value. So all the values we will be having it. So all this real-time data set which we will be working on guys, so that once you jump into your actual work, actual projects, that will be like similar to you, whatever we are discussing, it looks similar way. All right. Yeah. And also as I mentioned you that here, these are all the structured data, right? And also when it comes to the image files, it comes to the unstructured log file analysis, that is also unstructured data. When it comes to the XMLs, this is semi-structured. That is nothing but, we will be discussing as part of the MapReduce and the advanced MapReduce, all the files of the data we will be discussing. Because in the real time, some of the projects you will be having a structured, some of the projects you will be having a semi-structured and unstructured. That is the reason why we are covering both. I mean, we are covering all the things so that it will be easy for you to write your program codes, right? And you might be seeing that what are all the other modules are. Here the core components are HDFS and MapReduce, right? So if you see this guys, here you will be having something called a Hive. Why exactly the ecosystem components we call it as a Hive, Pig? What is the purpose of these ecosystem components are nothing but, if you see this, a lot of people, you know, they felt the complexity of this writing the MapReduce Java program, because in the industry, most of them are not Java programmers, right? But most of them know the SQL, because we work on any of the SQL. It may be any of the RDBMS, it may be Oracle, it may be the MySQL server, it may be any of the things, right? So here, okay, here one question we have, what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is nothing but, in the industry, people are not much aware about the Java. To make our life simpler and also to take this Hadoop to each and every community, what people have come up with is, they have come up with some of the ecosystem components like Hive and Pig. right? And also we are having something called a scoop and flume also. These are nothing but, let's assume that here the Java is there. How much time you suppose, let's assume a simple program, I wanted to find out the maximum. How much time it takes to find out a maximum? You have to write the 150 lines of the code minimum in the MapReduce, right? But if I again ask you to find out the minimum, you have to again write the code, right? But to avoid all these things, they have come up with something called a Hive. So guys, it looks similar to your SQL. Whoever knows the SQL, Hive will be pretty easy. You will be having the create table, right? Inserting and drop table, each and everything whatever you are seeing. Even you can have a views, partitions, whatever you have seen in the SQL, RDBMS, everything will be available in the Hive. This Hive was popular from, I mean, it was evolved from Facebook, guys. In the Facebook, 80% of their jobs are in the Hive, right? All these jobs are written in the Hive. This mainly the purpose of this Hive and the pig ecosystem components are to hide the complexity of the MapReduce. Alright. So here the pig was evolved from the Yahoo. This guys, what they have come up with is they have come up with something called a scripting language. So whoever knows that any of the scripting like Perl script, it may be here you will be having a simple commands. Like if you wanted to load anything, you will be having something called a load. If you wanted to store, you have store. If you wanted to display on the screen, similar to your select star from employee table or whatever, you will be having the dump, right? If you wanted to sort, there is something called order by. If you wanted to use a where clause, right, you will be having a filter by. Like this, you will be having a 10 to 15 commands which you will be having. You, with the help of these things, you will be implementing the pig scripts. So the main purpose of the Hive and pig, guys, to hide the complexity of this MapReduce, we will be having these things. So whatever you are writing in the MapReduce, the same thing can be written in even in the Hive and pig as well, right? And apart from this, guys, we are also having another ecosystem components. The another popular ecosystem components, 80% of the projects which you will be having is a scoop. The scoop is nothing but, let's assume that your data is already presented in any of the RDBMS. Let's assume my data is already there in the Oracle. What I wanted to do is, for the processing, I wanted to load my data into the Hadoop. So how you can load the data into the Hadoop? With the help of the scoop ecosystem component, whatever the data is in the Oracle, you can simply load that into the Hadoop distributed file system, right? And also you can do it, even you can do the scoop imports, and also the exports are also possible. Whatever the data is there, if you wanted to load back to the Oracle, even that is possible with the help of the scoop, right? And another ecosystem component is also there, guys, the flume. Suppose if you wanted to work on your Twitter data, how your tweets will be coming, your tweets will be continuously generating. Every minute you will be having a lot of tweets. So how exactly you will be loading your tweets into the Hadoop? Because if you wanted to process anything, you must need to load that data into the Hadoop distributed file system. So what you will be doing is all your Twitter data and also your, what we call it as your web server logs, this also continuously generates, right? So all these things, how you will be loading here is with the help of the Flume ecosystem component, you can load that into the Hadoop distributed file system. Alright. So this is how even your Twitter data is also will be loaded. So guys, the advantage of this particular ecosystem components are nothing but it makes our life easier. For each and every purpose, you are having a simple ecosystem component. With the help of that, what you can do? Simply you can implement your Hadoop. So this is the advantage of these ecosystem components. So if you see the other module, guys, whatever I talked about right now, Hive, Pig, right, and also Scoop, Flume, all these things we will be clearly discussing in detail with the architecture, with the installations, and also the real-time examples. And also we are seeing the performance optimizations as well. And also there is another ecosystem or component is also available, guys, here, that is HBase. HBase is nothing but whatever you are seeing over here in the HDFS, you can store it, whatever the data you have, but you cannot do the row level updates. No updates are possible in the Hadoop distributed file system, right? But right now if you see, most of them wants to do the updates. So how the updates will be possible? With the help of the HBase. This is a NoSQL database we call it as. With the help of this, your row level updates are possible. We will be discussing in detail about even the HBase as well, right? So these are all the ecosystem components which we will be talking about as part of our Hadoop developer course content, right? Any questions guys related to this particular course content? I'll be sharing the course content with Sham or Shaker afterwards. He will be forwarding you. But before that, any questions in the course content? Okay, seems no questions. And let me also talk about the Hadoop administration course content. Just give me a second guys. Yeah, can you talk about Hadoop versus Big Data versus Cloudera? Sure, I'll be talking about that, Sham. Once I just go through this, I'll clearly talk about that, right? Within 5 minutes. Yeah, before that guys, whoever is interested in the Hadoop administration course content, you can even go through this. This is the course content for the administration. As I mentioned that the first and the second module, like the introduction to the big data and Hadoop, and also your HDFS module will be the same over here. And apart from that, what we will be discussing here is lot of things about your cluster setups, planning your cluster. That is nothing but in the real time, if you are an architect, you will be simply given a detail saying that, okay, I'm having so much of the data is coming into the system daily. That's it. So here you are an architect, you have to define how much of the data. So if they gave that 100 GB of the data is coming into the system, you must need to analyze per an year how much data, and also how many computers are required. We call computers as a node guys, node we call it as. So how many nodes we require, right? And also what is the disk space we require, what is the RAM size I require. All of these things, as a Hadoop administrator, as a Hadoop architect, you must need to plan your cluster, right? So as part of this, we will be discussing each and everything about how you can plan your cluster, what is your RAM size, what is the network size, how many disks you require, and all these things which we will be talking about here, right? And also guys, we will be talking about setting the cluster. Once you go into the real time, you will be having a multi-node clusters. So what we will be doing is we will be setting up the multi-node clusters as well. If you see my system here, I'm using my VMware. You can see a lot of machines are available, right? So this is for my morning batch and evening batch. So I have created this. If you see, this is the 4-node cluster. So in the real time also, you will be, if you are working for new organizations, you will be starting up with a 5-node cluster or so. And once you're getting huge amount of the data, you will be keep on your data. You will be adding more number of the machines. All right. So here, as part of this multi-node cluster setup, we will be setting up the clusters similar to your productions, right? And not only this guys, as part of the monthly or else the quarterly basis, you will be also adding and removing the cluster for the maintenance purpose. And also we will be talking about how to add the new computers to the existing production without stopping any of the services and all these things. And also the backups and the recovery has to be taken care by your administrator itself. So we will be talking about how you can take care about the metadata backups and all these details, right? And also cluster upgrades. Once my version is something 2.6, let's assume, so I wanted to go to the latest version of the 2.7. So you have to do the cluster upgrades, right? So we will be talking about all the cluster upgrades over here. And then, as I mentioned, that Hadoop distributed file system, which you will be talking about the HDFS commands. For the administrator guys, there is a special commands also, right? DFS admin commands. Can you see here? We called it as a HDFS admin commands. Only administrator will be having access to run some special commands, right? So as part of this, we will be discussing those things. And also guys, in the real time, Either you can directly acquire these Linux machines, but some of the companies are also acquiring the machines in the Amazon Web Services, AWS Cloud. So what you can do is, what we will be discussing over here is, I will be also showing you how to acquire the machines in the Amazon Cloud and also how to set up the Hadoop cluster in the Amazon Cloud as well. Right, as part of the advanced Hadoop cluster, if you see this advanced cluster setups, I'll be talking about the Amazon Cloud, and also in the Hadoop 2.x there is a latest feature of high availability. Right, high availability, that is the latest feature. Even in my organization recently we implemented that. So here we will be discussing high availability, how to set up these multi clusters as well. One cluster going down, other cluster should take care about your existing machines, right? That is what the high availability means. We'll be talking about, we'll be setting up those high availability clusters as well. If you see my screen, guys, here you can see those master node and the master node 2, right? So these are the high availability cluster which I set it up over here. This is your active node, this is your standby. That means one of the machine goes down, your next machine will be taking care about your entire cluster. Right, and then guys we will be talking about the overview of the MapReduce also as part of this Hadoop administration as well. But the thing is, you will not be writing any of the Java code as administrator. Your duty is to do the optimizations, cluster optimizations related to the MapReduce, but you don't sit and write any of the MapReduce code over here. Similar to that, you don't write any of the high queries and the pig scripts. The developers will be doing that. Your responsibility is to do the installations and the configurations of these ecosystem components as well. Hive, Pig, Scoop, Flume, and all these things. So if you see these guys here, we'll be talking about how you can install these components and how you can set up these all ecosystem components as well. Alright, and then there is something called a Cloudera manager. What exactly this Cloudera, these are the distributions, guys. We will be discussing in detail about the distributions. As Sham is also asked to explain this, let me talk about these distributions as well. So here, whatever you are having, the Hadoop is open source. Right, open source is nothing but even you can download and use it in the production. Even I can download and use it in the production. Nobody is going to question us. It is open source by Apache. Right, then what exactly these distributions came into the picture is nothing but these distributions are also taking that particular libraries and whatever the binaries are there, open source binaries, they will be taking the open source binaries and they will be giving the extra features. Right, what are those extra features are nothing but, first let's try to see what are all the popular distributions related to the Hadoop. The first and foremost thing is the Cloudera distribution, guys. This is the oldest company which was even set up in 2007 itself. They started implementing the Hadoop and they are the popular distributions, right? And we are having something called a Hortonworks. Though this Hortonworks was recently popular, but still your Hortonworks is having, right? This is also having a very good market share. And IBM also providing you the, what we call it as, IBM is also providing the another thing which we call it as a IBM Big Insights. And now we have another popular distribution also. There is something called a Mapr. Even your Amazon Cloud is also provides the one of the distributions. But famous distributions are the Cloudera and the Hortonworks. Even if you wanted to write your certifications, Cloudera provides the certification for the administrators and the developers. Similar way, Hortonworks also provides these two certifications are quite popular, guys. So what exactly they are going to do is, these guys also, they take the same thing, the libraries and the binaries of your open source framework, and they will be giving the extra features. What is those extra features are nothing but, where in case of the Cloudera, you will be having something called a Cloudera manager, right? The Cloudera manager, in the case of the Hortonworks, you will be having something called a Hortonworks Ambry. So what exactly they are going to do is nothing but, as in the Hadoop, you will not be having only of the 5 machines. If you see here, you can see the 5 machines itself. If you go into the bigger clusters, even you can have 1,000 machines also. So when you have a more number of machines, it will take huge amount of the efforts from the administrator perspective to manage your cluster. Alright, to make your life simpler, we will be having something called these distributions, provides the Cloudera Manager and the Hortonworks Ambry. All these are the cluster management tools, right? As part of our course, guys, apart from these things, the vanilla setups, whatever I have shown you, these setups, we are also talking about the Cloudera Manager as well. If you see this, see here, cluster administration using Cloudera Manager. 80% of the projects, people will be using the Cloudera Manager. I'll be showing you how to install the Cloudera Manager, how to manage your cluster with the help of this, right? And also how to install your Hadoop with the help of the Cloudera Manager also, right? And here guys, once you know all these setups, the before setups, whatever we discussed, if you know that thoroughly, then the Cloudera Manager is nothing. It's like simple UI you will be having, right? With the help of the UI, you can manage it. It's very simple to use. And also you have to pay the licenses, guys. If you wanted to use the Cloudera as part of your production, you need to buy licenses for the Cloudera. All right. Where in case of the actual Hadoop binaries are free, you can download it and you can utilize them. In the final module, guys, we will be talking about the cluster monitoring. Cluster monitoring and the troubleshooting is nothing but, in case, let's assume that I'm having 100 machines like this. If one of the machine goes down, every day I cannot, just after coming to the office, I cannot log into the each and every machine and I cannot see it. Whether the disk space is filled up or whether the machine is up and running, I can't do if it is 100 machines or so. For that purpose, we will be having something called a cluster monitoring tools. Those monitoring tools are the popular monitoring tools in the industry. We will be using the Nagios and the Ganglia, guys. These two are the popular monitoring tools. In case of the Nagios, let's assume that your disk space has reached 80%. You will be getting a simple warning saying that, hey, this disk space is reached in so and so machine. So can you take care about that? Such kind of warnings you will be getting with the help of the Nagios. It's not only the disk space warning, guys. In case, let's assume that your one of the machine goes down, automatically you will be getting an alert from your Nagios. In the Ganglia is a reporting tool. If you wanted to see how much CPU, how much memory it utilized and all these things you can see with the help of your Ganglia monitoring tool. As part of our course, guys, we will be also clearly discussing about how to set up these Nagios and how to set up this Ganglia, each and everything. And the final thing is the optimizations and also the troubleshooting. How we can do the troubleshooting, what are the frequent errors which you will be getting inside your cluster, and also the performance optimization techniques which we will be discussing as part of the last module, right? And also, guys, if you see here, I'll be providing you the OneDrive link. Here each and every material you can see here. This is my, yeah, you can see this is my March batch, which is just last month batch, the OneDrive. If you see here, whatever the video, whatever we are discussing, I'll place all the videos in the OneDrive so that you can refer anytime. You can download it and you can refer. When it comes to the material, I'll be creating a folder like this, and this today, whatever we discussed, I'll be placing that into the OneDrives. So these are the materials, whatever, each and everything, whatever we'll be discussing. It's not only the presentations. It's like if you see the multi-node cluster setup, everything is in detail documented. If you see this, step-by-step documentation is available. It was written by me, right? So here I'll be providing you this documentation as well. Similar thing with the Hadoop development also, guys. If you see this, all the development videos and whatever you're having, this is my last month batch details for the development. You can see all the videos and materials in the OneDrive link, right? This is how usually I'll be sharing the course. I mean, I'll be sharing the content, whatever I'm having with my students, right? This is about these course content related to the developer and administrations, right? In case if you have anybody is having any questions, feel free to ask me. Sham, any questions? Would you like to know any more details about the course content? Okay, you're good. Okay, Chandrakant is asking how many days training. It's like a 30 hours training, guys. It will be what we call it as 5 weeks. Right? And so here my timings. Let me talk about the timings before we are, admin is also same. Before jumping into the introduction to the big data and Hadoop, let me talk about these, what we call it as the timings. We will be having Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. These 3 days are for the developer, and I will be taking the session starts from 6 p.m. PST. So if I convert into the EST, 9 p.m. EST is the timing, right? It will be like 2 hours session, guys. Monday, Wednesday and Friday, instead of having the 1 hour, I do not want it to continue just for 1 hour. So it will be like 2 hours continuous session. Monday, Wednesday and Friday, alternative days. You can practice it, whatever the day which are left in between, right? For the administration, guys, the Tuesday and Thursday, right? Tuesday and Thursday are the administration classes, and the time is same. It will be the 9 p.m. EST. It starts with, it will be for the 2.5 hours. Right? Earlier, in the earlier batch, I used to have these weekend classes actually. This administration, even if you just sit for 1 hour, it doesn't work out, because if we are starting in the middle, if I started setting up the multi-node cluster, if I stop in the after 1 hour, in the next day you don't even understand any other details. That is the reason why usually I take the continuous sessions for the administration, especially 3 hours usually it will be. As it is a weekday, I made it to 2.5 hours. This is the timing, guys. Right? So the sessions will be starting from tomorrow. Whoever is interested, you can just check with the Sham and they can get back to me. All right? What if one wants to attend the both? Can they do daily? Exactly, Sham. Here, that is the reason why, I have made it like this Monday. So whoever is attending, enrolling the both of the things, they will be attending the 5 days a week, the complete days, Monday to Friday. I have a lot of people who is coming even for the both. Right? Any questions, guys, related to the timings and related to the whatever the times, dates we are talking about? Okay, no questions. That's cool. Yeah. So let's try to understand, as we came here for the webinar, so let at least try to understand what is big data. Everybody is talking about the big data and Hadoop. Are they both same or are they different? What exactly these things are? Let's try to understand them. All right. So if you see here, guys, if you are an wise user, if I ask you what is big data, so what you are going to talk about the big data, you might be thinking that the big is something related to the size. So I can call whichever I'm having a huge amount of the files, I can call it as a big data, right? But do you think the big is only related to the volume? Volume is nothing but the size, right? So big is only related to the volume? It's not, because if my organization is Facebook, for me the terabytes of the data whatever I'm talking about, it will be very small, because every day if you see the Facebook post, Facebook uploads and whatever the images you are uploading, each and everything will be more than terabytes, right? Even every hour transactions itself is in the terabytes. So for them the terabytes is nothing. It's a very small amount of the data. But if I set up a new organization, for me the terabytes of the data is quite huge. I must need to have a proper things to store, and not only the store, I have to process them also, right? So here the volume is not only the factor to decide whether whether your data is the big data or not. So what are the other things you are having over here apart from the volume? Nothing but here, guys, you have to talk about the variety also. Variety is nothing but what kind of the files you are having. Are you going to deal with your image files, audio files, video files, or some text files, some email messages? What kind of files you are going to deal with? You are going to store and process as part of the big data. That matters, guys. So here in simple words, we will be dividing this variety into the 3 different ones. We call it as a structured. Structured is nothing but whatever the data is stored in your RDBMS, right? Any of the RDBMS, everything is structured. If you see an employee table in the RDBMS, how it looks, guys, it looks nicely with the metadata. You will be having an employee ID, employee name, salary, department. Each and everything you will be having it, right? So here, that is all we call it as a structured data, whatever is stored as part of your RDBMS. When it sees this, the other one is the unstructured data. Unstructured data is nothing but whatever. Let's assume that you are tweeting something, all your tweets, right? And also all your Facebook posts, and also all your web server logs, whatnot. Each and everything is coming to the unstructured data. There is no structure to that. I can tweet something. You can tweet something. There is no structure to it at all, right? So these are all the unstructured data. When it comes to the semi-structured, you will be having the data as part of your XMLs. Even you can have a XMLs in the latest days. In the recent days, we are also seeing the JSON files. These are all your semi-structured data files. So whatever the data you are having it over here, right, you must need to store each and everything in the big data. And here guys, and now also the volume and the variety does not fit when you wanted to decide, because let's assume that you are having some 1 terabytes of the data. These are all structured data. And where exactly you will be storing this? Obviously, you will be storing as part of your RDBMS itself, because RDBMS we have been working upon since ages on the RDBMS. So as it is a structured data and the data size is also little small, 1 terabytes, I can simply place it in the RDBMS. But let's assume that after a year, your business has been tremendously popular, and instead of the 1 terabytes of the data, you are getting the 1000 terabytes of the data into the system. Does your RDBMS handle the 1000 terabytes of the data? A big no, because RDBMS has size limitations. It doesn't even handle this much amount of the data, right? So here guys, that is where the another important characteristics will come into the picture, that is velocity. Velocity is nothing but at which speed your data is growing. What is the speed, right? Whether it is whether it is 100 TB from 1 terabyte to 100 terabytes it is coming, or else 1000 terabytes it is coming. What is the speed your data is going to be increased, right? So whenever guys, if your organization wants to go to the big data or not, big data technologies, if they wanted to go ahead or not, you must need to keep these three things in mind. One is the volume, what is the size, right? And one is the which kind of data I'm going to get, what is the variety of the data, and also what is the data speed at which rate it is growing. All these things you must need to keep in your mind guys before you are defining the big data. So if you see the formal definition of the big data, whatever we talked about, right, this particular definition is taken from the Hadoop Definitive Guide guys. Hadoop Definitive Guide by Tom White. That is a very, very popular book, and each and everybody in the Hadoop community must need to go through that book. It is very good book. I'll be sharing that Hadoop Definitive Guide book as well. I'm having the PDF with me. I'll be sharing with you guys. Right? If you see the definition, whatever we discussed, big data is nothing but what is this structured and unstructured? It is nothing but the variety I'm talking about. If you see this, it is large. It is nothing but I'm talking about the volume. The fast is nothing but I'm talking about the velocity. The same thing, whatever we discussed, the big data is collection of these items, and the one first and foremost thing is the data which you cannot store as part of your RDBMS. Those kind of the data you will be storing as part of your big data. Big data is nothing but whatever the data which is having this kind of features like the volume, variety and the velocity, we call that particular data as a big data, right? Then what is Hadoop? Is it same? Big data and Hadoop is same? No guys. Big data is nothing but it's the kind of data what you are going to get it. Then what is Hadoop is nothing but you must need to have a mechanism, or else you must need to have a systems to store all your data, right? Whatever the data you are getting. So that particular framework we call it as a Hadoop, right? Hadoop is the framework to process your all your big data. How we'll be processing? So not only the processing, you have to store your big data, plus you have to process your big data. How you will be doing that is with the help of the Hadoop, you will be storing and processing your big data, right? And also guys, earlier days we do not have a lot of big data, but right now what is the purpose? What exactly we are getting huge amount of the big data is nothing but the main sources of this big data is your social networking sites, whatever it may be, your Twitter tweets, your Facebook posts, right? And also your YouTube uploads, anything it can be. These are all your social media data is one of the source for your what we call it as a big data. And the next one is from the machines. Machines are nothing but, let's assume that your flight, each and every flight having something called a black box. What is this black box? It is nothing but whatever the transactions you are having, like where exactly your flight is moving, what speed it is moving, and all these things going to be stored as part of your black box, right? That data is also quite big in size. And also guys, the NASA is having huge amount of the satellites. Whatever the data is generating from the satellites is also the big data, right? And also your web server logs which it generates, that is also coming from the machines, that is also machinery data, that is also big data, right? And also once you log into your Amazon or eBay websites, if you're doing some transactions is not only the purchasing. If you are searching for some search criteria, like if I'm searching for the Hadoop book inside the Amazon, whatever my search criteria is there, each and every such criteria is going to be stored as part of your system, as part of the big data, right? So in the earlier days guys, we never used to store the search criteria. We only used to store the order information, like whatever you purchased, only that particular order information used to get stored. But right now all the search criteria is also going to be stored. If you see this, social media, machines, and the transactional data, these three are the major sources about your big data, right? If you see this, social data, the machineries which is data is generating from, and also the transactional data. In the earlier days guys, whatever we used to have is most of the data, 80% of the data is the structured data. That is the reason why we used to store each and everything in the RDBMS itself. But right now, whatever the data we are seeing, each and everything, 80% of the data is unstructured data. We must need to have a proper system to store your data. Alright. So guys, if you see this, so how exactly you are going to store your data? Before discussing that, let's see some of the real-time examples where exactly you are having your big data. Alright. We all know about the Twitter. You're tweeting something. Suppose, let's assume that a new movie has been released, guys. Let's assume that a Star Wars movie has been released. Star Wars team wants to know what is the talk about that particular movie, whether it is a positive, negative, or neutral talk. What they can do here, they can do something called a sentimental analysis. It's not only the movie, guys. Suppose let's assume that some of the company, it releases a product into the market. The Lakme has released a product into the market. They wanted to know what people are talking about the product. So how they can know? They can do a sentimental analysis. So how they can do this sentimental analysis is nothing but, here you will be having a 3 buckets, guys. One is the positive. Internally you will be defining these things, positive buckets and neutral buckets and the negative buckets. These buckets are nothing but, let's assume that the user A, I'm a user, I tweeted saying that the Star Wars is a super hit, right? I will be here, I'm having an adjective table over here. Inside this adjective table, you are predefining whether the super has to be come to the positive or negative. Obviously the super is positive, so whatever the tweet I have done, my tweet is coming over here. If somebody else tweeted that it is a worst movie, it is going to be the negative. Somebody says that it is an average flick, they will be going here. Like that, all your tweets get distributed into the buckets like this, right? Once this is done, then they can, even if they wanted to see the reports, they want to integrate with the Tableau, or else they want to integrate with any other reporting tools like Oracle BI Publisher and any other things, they can simply integrate it, whatever the values they are seeing, right? Otherwise, for the simple purpose, whatever the values over here, they can export it to the Excel and they can have a graph representation also. And not only the percentages, how much percentage of the positive and negative talk, guys, here they can have the trends also. Trends are nothing but at which time more people are tweeting about that particular movie. That is nothing but just after watching a movie, we come and we tweet, right? So from that information, they will be understanding which days the tickets are selling more. Can we increase the ticket Can we increase the, can we release more number of theaters, and all these decisions can be taken care. We call that as ad hoc decisions. How your ad hoc decisions can be taken? With the help of this particular big data analytics, you can take this kind of decisions, guys. Let's assume that the Lakme has released a product. If everybody is talking about the negative, what they have to do, they can revisit the product, and even they can roll back the products also. Such kind of analysis will be done with the help of your big data, right? Not only this, guys, there are a lot of use cases. If you talk about the advertisements, once you log into the Facebook, you can see the advertisements, right? In the earlier we used to see the advertisements. So how the advertisements are getting displayed to you means, suppose if you are a technical person, if you're more interested in the big data, you will be liking the big data blogs, and you will be, you know, searching for the big data groups inside your Facebook. So whatever you are doing in your Facebook, each and everything is recorded, guys, because they will be taking a decisions from your things, whatever you are doing. Because if you are searching for the big data, if you're liking more of the big data blogs, whatever the advertisements are there, they will be displaying you the all the big data institutes or else big data related books. All such kind of things will be getting displayed to you. Because if I'm a big data guy, if each and everything is displayed to us something related to the motorbikes, at least will you click on that? You won't even click on that, right? So based upon the particular user's interest, user's behavior, all these things get displayed to you. So internally it uses this powerful algorithms. Facebook uses powerful algorithms to analyze the user behavior. This is also the big data use case. And also your friends recommendations. Once you log into your Facebook, you can see the friends recommendations, right? So it's not only the mutual friends. Sometimes you can see the new people also. So how exactly they get displayed to is, there are a lot of algorithms. Even they might have visited your profile multiple times. You might have visited their profile. There might be common interest in between you. Most of them are the common interests, common friends. Lot of criteria decide that mutual friends also. That is also based upon your big data use case, right? If you talk about, we all know about the Uber cabs, right? Uber cabs is also using the big data to maintain their business, to grow their business. There is something called intelligent traffic management, guys. That is nothing but it takes the data whatever is generating from the GPS. Wherever there is a more data, more number of vehicles are stuck, automatically the Uber cab drivers will be shown a new route. So that the reason is, the route whatever is set for him is already having a huge amount of the traffic jam. Once he get into the traffic, their business is going to be loose, right? So to avoid those things, he will be having this kind of things, intelligent traffic management system by the Uber cabs. Not only this, guys, each and everything whatever you're, I mean, we all know about the one popular program in India, Satyameva Jayate by Amir Khan, right? So that also uses the Hadoop and big data to analyze what kind of people are watching, how much percentage of the people are watching, what kind of advertisements we can give, right? Lot and lot of use cases can be derived from this particular thing. If you wanted to get more details on that program and the Hadoop, right, big data, you can simply search with the Satyameva Jayate and big data. You will be having the clear in detail analysis about how exactly this can be done. So guys, this big data use cases, not only in this particular field, not only the banking and finance sectors, each and every field we are having, even in the hospitality, even in the, what we call it as, to find out the cancer disease, each and everything. They are taking the patterns and they are trying to identify what kind of, you know, the patterns we are getting for the cancer patients, some of the diseases. So it's each and every field we will be having these big data use cases. In the earlier days, only we used to have the Facebook, I mean, Facebook and Yahoo. Yahoo is the first company who implemented the big data and Hadoop. And after that, Facebook also started implementing. But right now, every small company also started implementing the big data. That is the reason why there are huge amount of the opportunities are there for the big data, I mean, Hadoop administrators as well as the Hadoop developers. That is the reason why we are all here to understand the, you know, the usage of the big data and big data frameworks. These are all the real-time use cases, guys. And now we understand what is big data. The Hadoop is nothing but, see here, whatever you are talking about the big data, when I'm talking about the huge amount of the clusters, there is a let's assume that you're having a huge amount of the data. What are the problems you can think about? Where I'm going to store? My storage is a problem. What about my cost? Cost is another problem. Storage is not only the problem. How I'm going to process? That is another problem, right? So, and my data safety. How about my data safety? These are all the things are the questionnaires before people started implementing the big data. So to answer all your questions, guys, the solution is our Hadoop. Hadoop big data, big fat elephant. This is the solution for all your big data challenges. That is nothing but the first challenge is the storage, right? As part of the Hadoop, there is no limit, right? There is no limit, guys. You can store n amount of the data. Huge amount of the data you can store as part of your Hadoop, right? And what about the cost? Hadoop is very, very cost effective. Why I'm saying cost effective is nothing but whatever the machines you are having as part of the Hadoop, these are all the commodity hardware machines. Commodity hardware machines are nothing but these are all the cheaper hardware machines which we will be using for. Alright, so the cost is also very less. That is the reason why SAP HANA also came into the picture, but nobody is using in the industry. The reason is it is very expensive. Everybody started looking out for the cheaper framework. So Hadoop is a cost effective one. Okay, there is no limit or is it flexible to expand the disk space? So here guys, here storage goes. Here how exactly the Hadoop looks like is, before answering that question, let me show you something. In the real time, Hadoop looks like this, guys. Right now, let's assume that this is a 4-node cluster. That means 4 small computers I'm having, one of the master machine. In the same way, even you can have 1,000 computers also over here, but master is a single one. So whatever the data you are having, whatever you wanted to store, all your, where you can store is, this is the place where you can store. All your data can be stored as part of your slave machines, right? So let's assume that right now I'm having some 100 terabytes of the data. I used only of the 4 computers to store my data. But in the future, I'm getting 1,000 terabytes of the data. So how exactly you are going to have this 1,000 terabytes of the data? I cannot increase this machine. I mean, I cannot expand the disk size of these machines. Instead of that, here in the Hadoop, what we are going to do is you will be simply adding the extra machines, right? We will be simply adding the extra slave machines. This machine cost simple $1,000 to $3,000 is the cost of this machine, guys. Each of the slave machine. So simply we will be adding that machine, right? So that there is no limit. Right now it is 1,000 terabytes. So I'm having some n number of the computers. So let's assume that it is some 1 lakh terabytes or else some 1,000 exabytes. How you are going to store is simply you will be adding the extra machines. That is how in the real time we work. Some of the companies monthly they will be adding the expanding these things, right? Some of the companies will be quarterly they will be adding these machines. And also here Ajay is asking slave machines or it's like adding the external hard disk. Slave machines are the complete machines. It's not only the hard disk, whether it is having the RAM and it is having your hard disk also. It's similar to your laptops, how it computers, it is having your RAM and also it is having your hard disk, right? So here there are some limitations. Instead of, there are some performance optimization techniques which we will be discussing as part of the cluster planning in detail. Those are nothing but instead of having the, let's assume that 100 GB of the disk space hard disk I wanted to attach over here. Instead of adding the, or else let's assume that 100 terabytes of the hard disk I wanted to attach to this particular computer. Instead of adding the one single 100 terabytes of the hard disk, what we will be doing is we will be adding the multiple number of the hard disk, right? That is nothing but 12 to 24 that is the ideal scenario is, guys, we will be having the 12 to 24 different hard disks, right? Each hard disk is size of the 3 to 4 terabytes. You can have the 3 to 4 terabytes of the hard disk. You can even have a 24 hard disk. That is nothing but in a simple machine, you can close to 100 terabytes of the data you can store, right? Because 24 into 4 terabytes each, that is 96 terabytes. That is close to 100. So there are some to improve the performance, there are some criteria, like instead of having a single disk, you have to purchase this multiple small disk. You can improve the performance with the help of this, right? And is this something like Teradata Netezza appliances? No, Sham. Here, exactly what we are going to do is, it's not only the storage technique what we are talking about. The storage is the one single thing. The other thing is we will be doing the processing. Whatever the data stored over here, if I wanted to process my data by using either the MapReduce programs or else my Hive and Pig scripts, I will be processing my data, right? So this can be done with the help of your what we call it as this framework. So storage is not only these things. We will be processing with the help of this Teradata and other appliances. I don't think this kind of parallel processing is not possible, right? So here each and everything is the parallel processing. So this is the advantage of your Hadoop, right? If you see this, that is how it stores the n number of the amount of the data, and also it is cost effective as all the slave machines are the commodity hardware machines. Horizontal scaling is nothing but you can add n number of the machines. That is what horizontally you can expand. What is the meaning of the good data recovery is, you might be having a question that you are saying that these are all the commodity hardware machines, right? But when it is a commodity hardware machine, how about my data safety? It can go down, right? If it is not a powerful machine. So how my data safety is going to happen is, to answer that question, each and every file, let's assume that if you are storing 1 terabytes of the file, guys, it is going to be stored 3 replicas. That means 3 copies of the file is going to be stored inside your cluster. Here, let's assume that the 1 terabytes of the file is there. Here the 1 terabytes of the file is going inside your one of the machine. The same copy of the 1 terabyte of the file is going to be sit in the different machine. The same file is going to be stored in the different machine also. Like this, you will be having a 3 replicas, right? So we call this as a replication factor. By default, whatever is storing as part of your Hadoop, each and everything gets stored 3 times. What is the advantage of this? In case one of the machine goes down, still your data is available in the rest of the machines. That is how it is going to be done, the fault tolerance. Your data is always safety. Because of all these points, whatever we are discussing, our Hadoop is so much of popular when it compares to the other frameworks, right? Yeah, here I have some questions. Let me take. Okay, Chandrakant is asking, in my virtual box, I have 3 different distributions. Can I use them to set up the 3-node cluster? Hey, distributions are different, Chandrakant, and the cluster nodes are different. Because when it comes to the distributions, whatever we are talking about, these distributions over here, right? Where exactly my slide? Yeah. These distributions, for the developers, what they do is they provide something called a Cloudera Quick Start VM. The Cloudera Quick Start VM is nothing but they will be providing you the predefined Hadoop box. You need not install any of the Hadoop over here. You can directly download the Quick Start VM and you can start the installations. I mean, you can start the writing your own programs in this. Similar way, Hortonworks also you will be having. Hortonworks HDP, Hortonworks Sandbox we call it as. This Hortonworks Sandbox also, you need not do any of the installations. Each and everything is already available. You can directly start writing your MapReduce programs or Hive programs and whatever you want. But here when I'm talking about these clusters, 3-node clusters, this is in the productions and also the pre-prod environments. Right, so this machines, whatever you mentioned that you are having the 3 distributions inside your machines, I hope that you will be having this Cloudera Quick Start VM and the Hortonworks Sandbox, right? But these are the different. So how you will be setting up as part of our administration course, how we'll be setting up these clusters are nothing but as part of your laptops, we will be taking either VMware or the VirtualBox. With the help of this, what we will be doing is we will be installing our Hadoop over here. I mean, you will be installing your Linux operating system over here. Inside your Linux operating system, you will be installing the Hadoop. In the same way, this is one of the machine, right? So in the same way, with the help of the same VMware, you can have your another Linux operating system also, right? And here also you will be installing the Hadoop. That in the same way, in the different, if you are having a 4-node cluster, you will be installing the Hadoop in the 4 different nodes, right? If you see my diagram over, I mean my setup over here, see this is a different machine, and this is a different machines. All are different machines. So here we have installed this cluster setup we have done with the help of these things. Right, so with the help of the distributions you cannot do this, but there is something called a Cloudera manager. If you download and install the Cloudera manager, you can do the installation setups, right? Whatever we are talking about, the multi-node cluster setups, with the help of the Cloudera manager we can do. But you must need to have 8 GB of the RAM for that. Your machine must need to have 8 GB of the RAM to implement that. As part of our module Cloudera Cloudera administration, I'll be talking about how to set up these clusters with the help of the Cloudera manager as well. Alright. Yeah, as I mentioned you guys, Hadoop is pre-written in the Java, and also it is a open source framework. Everybody can go and everybody can download this. And if you see how it was evolved, your Hadoop was evolved. Actually, the Google has published a paper, guys, in 2003 on the Google file system and also the Google MapReduce. If you see here, you will be having the HDFS and the MapReduce, right? Google already having something called a Google MapReduce and also the Google file system. But those are their proprietary, Google's proprietary things. They are not open source, right? These are not free. They don't even let us know what exactly is going behind the scene. So they publish the paper. The person you can see over here, Doc Cutting is a person. He has taken these, what we call it as the reference as this Google published papers, and he implemented the Hadoop. He's the person who implemented the Hadoop, and the same guy was joined by Yahoo in 2006. So Yahoo is the first company who implemented the Hadoop. And after that, in 2008, Facebook also started implementing the Hadoop. Like that, how Hadoop market has been evolved, right? In the right hand side, you can see the distributions. I talked about the Cloudera, Mapper, Hortonworks, right? These are all the distributions which we will be having it. I'll be talking about these things, the ecosystem components which I already explained you. You will be having your Hadoop. On top of this, you will be having your MapReduce. On top of this, you can have a Hive, you can have a Pig, right? You can have a Scoop, you can have a Flume. But if you are working on the machine learnings, you can even have a Mahout. If you are working on the statistical analysis, these are very advanced things. You can even have R connectors, right? And if you see, the workflows are nothing but, if you wanted to, every 1 hour I wanted to execute something. So even you can put it in the workflow as well. Uzi workflow, right? On top of this, either you can use the Ambry or else you can have a Cloudera manager to manage your cluster. This is the same thing whatever I talked about over here. HDFS on top of this MapReduce, Hive, Pig, Scoop, Flume, all these ecosystem components. Here also you can see the same. Alright, I already talked about the distributions, guys. Yeah. Any questions related to this? And these are all the famous resources. If you wanted to learn more on the Hadoop Definitive Guide by Tom White is a very good book. And recently there is another book also called Hadoop Operations. Even you can refer that, but this is the best book, right? And if you wanted to, once after our sessions, if you wanted to know what exactly is happening behind the scene related to the Hadoop, these two are the famous blogs, the Cloudera blogs and the Hortonworks blogs. You can go ahead, you can go through them and you can see these, the latest updates, right? In the similar way, you will be having the Apache Hadoop documentation, which we call it as a Hadoop wiki. And also, as I mentioned, that the Yahoo is the first company who implemented the Hadoop, right? They are having a very good documentation. You can see that as part of your YDNs, Yahoo Developer Network. YDN sites, you can have these things, right? These are the resources. I think I'm done, right? Guys, it's the time for questions. I hope at least is it clear what we are talking about? What is big data? What is Hadoop? What are these distributions and all this stuff? It's open for questions. If you have anybody have any questions, you can ask me to unmute. You can ping in the chat window. Shyam, any questions? Shyam and Mahesh, would you like to know any more details about this Hadoop and our course curriculum or any other things?
This is Sham Savanti. I'm good. So if you can send me the course content and timings, and did you record the session? If I want to share with somebody who could not attend this,
Yep, I
they
recorded
can
the session.
watch.
Yes, Shyam,
Yeah,
I
if you can
recorded.
send that out.
Hi Shravanti, this is Sunil here.
Hey, Sunil, hi.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yes,
Let's say if
please.
any company is using, let's say if any company is using Hadoop means, they will be definitely using this Hive, Pig, Flume, Scoop, everything, or
Yeah, they will be using everything because here, let's assume that here if you wanted to process the map reduce, right? If you wanted to process, you're having some XML files because in the real time, your data is not always same. Sometimes you will be getting the log files, some of the resources you will be having, some of the data is coming from your RDBMS, right? Some of the data you are going to take it from your XMLs, from the other sources. So you have to process all of these things. So for this purpose, if you want RDBMS, you must need to load it using the scoop, right? Or also for the logs, you must need Flume. So each and every purpose, we are having the different ecosystem components. And if you wanted to process the XML, if you go ahead with the map reduce, it takes huge amount of the lines of the code, right? So some of the companies have stringent deadlines. They really do not want it to go ahead with the XMLs with the map reduce. They will be using the pig because by default pig is having something called XML loader. There is by default things in the pig, so they can simply use the pig ecosystem components. Right? In some of the companies, they wanted to, they have a lot of SQL people. They are very good at writing the SQL queries, so they can simply go ahead with the Hive to process the data, whatever is there as part of your Hadoop. So how we will be using is in most of the projects, the combination of the MapReduce, Hive and Pig. The combination of these things to use to process your data.
so we don't need to know Java, right? Because if we can do the same job by using the Pig, then we don't need to learn Java, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, in the real time, you will be, it's not only the Hive and the Pig, you will be also writing the code in the MapReduce. So it's always good to know. If you know the Java, it's good to know. But the thing over here is, it's not required to have frameworks, Java frameworks like a Spring, Hibernate, such kind of things. Basic core Java, like what exactly we are doing, how you can define a variables, how you can use the small functions, that kind of small stuff is needed. But guys, the frankly telling you, the Java, lot of code is already available over the internet. So you need not invent anything new over here. You must need to understand how exactly the MapReduce can be implemented with the Java. You need to know the structure, you need to know how to define, because here in the MapReduce, each and everything is in the key value pairs. There is a specific format it follows. You must need to know, you have to define your keys. Once you define your key, your half of the job is done, because playing with the Java code is not, the toughest thing. So I mean here your primary criteria is to identify the key and value. So Java, unknowing the Java is not a big deal over here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And others? Anybody having any questions?
Sravante, this is Shyam.
Yes, Shyam?
So some of the attendees here, they have, I think most of them, I mean, few are like the fresh graduates, but most of them have RDBMS concepts or real-time ETL or business intelligence background.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, like Sunil asked, I mean, some people, they may not have Java or like our hoops concepts, but how far they can go with the RDBMS or ETL BI background in this Hadoop area?
lot of people, whoever we are seeing, they are coming from the informaticas and also the data warehousing tools as well. So here it's not, the Java is not the key over here, because if you see the whole concept, only in the MapReduce we will be using we will be writing the code in the Java. The rest of the things, if you're very good at SQL, the Hive is the key. Lot of people, if you talk about the Facebook, 80% of the jobs are in the Hive itself. If you talk about the Yahoo, there everything is in the pig, right? So it's not only the MapReduce. So the people who are already having the experience with the SQLs or any other scripting languages, then that will be very easy to learn this Hive and pig as well. You need not to be expertised in the OOPS concept for the Hive and pig at all. Only for the MapReduce we require the core Java, I mean the basic Java. But even in our sessions, I mean in my sessions, usually I'll be taking care from the first onwards, like the in-depth knowledge about what exactly we are trying to create and all these things in the Java as well.
So developers will be working mostly on the MapReduce, Aryan, right?
No, everything. Hive, pig, MapReduce, Hive, pig, developers will be working on this. So administrators will
Yeah, I
be
mean,
helping in setting up these Hive installations, pig installations, right? All these installations, configurations, they will be working on. Developers' job is to write the MapReduce programming, I mean yarn, and also the Hive queries. Your developers will be writing the Hive queries. Administrator will not even touch any of the Hive. They will be simply setting it up the clusters, the Hive installations in the productions and the non-prods. Even the pig scripts also will be done by your developers. Developers itself, not by these admins. So combination of these things will be used in the real-time projects. All right. Any other questions, guys? 5 more minutes. Okay. It seems no question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is Sham. Looks like, I mean, if nobody has any questions,
Yeah.
I just want to close. So if you can send me those details like we talked, course content, or to Shaker, I can take these details from Shaker as well.
Okay, sure.
I'll talk to these people and see who are interested, and then we can join tomorrow. So
Yep.
you have the same time tomorrow?
The same time, but the link will be different. I'll be having a registration link. A lot of people are already joining, so that is a different link which I'll be sharing with one for the administrator, one for the developer. Right?
Okay.
But tomorrow's session, as I mentioned you, that the first concept, the introduction as well as the HDFS module is same for the both admin and the developers, right? So whoever is interested in the administration and the development, so they can join tomorrow's session. Right, because tomorrow we will be talking about the HDFS. It's same for both. All right, the next session onwards, which will be having a separate sessions for the admin as well as the developer. Right, I hope it is clear. I'll be sharing you all the details. Right, then we can catch up.
All right, good night.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Thanks for joining the session. Good night.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shravanti.
Thank you. Bye.